Probably based on the rankings, the most underrated team in the country in terms of a Power 5 team, not ranked, with only one loss coming into this weekend's play. But North Carolina shows that they belong with a road victory over Pitt 26-19. We bring in Jeff Greenberg of Sports Glutton to help us break this one down, Jeff. And despite the one touchdown, one score margin of victory here, North Carolina pretty much from the first couple drives of the ball game proved to be the superior team.
Yeah, I think this week was important for them to start out quickly. You're on the road. You're against a ranked team. You have a Pitt team whose only loss was on the road to a top 10 ranked Iowa team on a 57-yard field goal, I think. The last couple of weeks, the one thing UNC hasn't done is get off to a quick start. I know that was their goal tonight. It's a big deal for Marquise Williams for him. Whenever he can start fast, he usually has a pretty good game. And I think you saw that tonight.
And, Jeff, part of that quick start was Ryan Switzer getting behind the defense. But if Marquise doesn't make the play where he breaks out of the sack, and actually a play in which he was basically almost dragged to the ground by the face mask, makes an incredible play to get away from the defender and hoist that perfect throw to Ryan Switzer, and you're on the board up and running after down 3-0. And from then, it was one of those situations where I think we're looking at a more, and you're going to be able to really fill this in, a more fundamentally sound, determined team that's on point, because there have been times past when North Carolina had the better athletes on the field, the more speed and athleticism on the field, and lost to this kind of team, a rugged, determined Pitt team that's played really sound defense. But I don't think there's any question the Heels faster and more athletic, but they had the other elements of the game working tonight.
They did. I think you saw on the offensive side, Pitt likes to get really up close to the line of scrimmage with about 9 guys and really force you to go over top. So going into the game, UNC knew we had to try to go down the field if they were going to be successful, and they did it. I think that's what was big for Marquise, was to hit those down the field passes and get the momentum going. I mean, like you said, the play to Switzer, his head almost hit the ground and the face mask pulled him down far enough, got up, adjusted his face mask, threw it down the field, and that got some things rolling. Hit a few 3rd and longs to some key receivers. And then, the 2 long catches, one for a touchdown and another one for about 30 yards to Matt Collins, really showed that they did what they wanted to do. So like you said, from a technical standpoint, they executed their game plan. And then on the defense, they knew they had the key in on 23, Boyd, and he's a load. I mean, that's a first, second round draft pick. They did hold him under 100 yards total offense, and they kept him out of the end zone. So they did what they had to do. More importantly, the defense had 5 sacks, which I think is their highest total in one game in this season, which was a big deal on the road to get that pressure without really a lot of blitzing. It was pretty much a 4-man front getting in there and causing pressure.
Yeah, you allude to the coverage on Boyd, and probably 3 of those 10 catches that he had were very nice catches by him. They were contested plays in which he outfought the defender and just showed his extremely strong hands. But the 89 yards are key, as you allude to, because he didn't really do much damage in terms of big chunk plays. Yeah,
he's phenomenal. I mean, there were some passes where, like you mentioned, the catches, it was all him. I mean, the defender was there. The defender even got a hand on the ball, and Boyd's coming down with it. But they were able to stop him at the point of the catch, which was important. I mean, he's big. He's one of those big yards after catch type guys and can really gash you, and they prevented that, which was huge. So the other part I thought was big on defense is they held their running game in check for Pitt too. I think Olison had like 54-some yards. I think the other running back maybe had 30 to 40 yards. So overall, that's a big deal. I think yards per play played a role in this game. UNC got a little over 7.5 yards per play, where Pitt came in right about 4 yards per play. So you're looking at different efficiency numbers that swung the Tar Heels' way. And to your point, they never looked kind of out of they never lost their poise. They kind of looked like they were in control from a mental standpoint from start to finish. You never saw them panic. Even with the blocked field goal or blocked punt, they come right back and hold them to a field goal. And there was another situation where they had some momentum going. and forced UNC to punt, and UNC got them 3 and out there. Pitt had a big play on the fake punt, and then after they got the first down, they went 3 and out there. So there was a lot of bending but not breaking from the UNC side, both offensively and defensively. And on the road against a ranked team on a Thursday night national TV game, you can't ask for anything more than that.
From a national perspective, as I alluded to off the top, this has somewhat been a forgotten team as a 6-1 football team coming into this game, the only one in the Power 5 not ranked. That's going to quickly change with a convincing win over Pitt. Again, 26-19, but I don't think that speaks to the level of play against a good football team on the road. Speak to the defense here, Jeff. So I saw the South Carolina game. Most of that game, we could be talking very easily about an 8-0 Tar Heels team, aside from the 3 interceptions, the long touchdown run by South Carolina, a game in which the Heels basically outplayed the Gamecocks for most of the way. But it's in the past. They've gone on a 7-game run. And defensively, they were a mess last season. But those jokes have to be put to rest because this outfit is just clearly different.
The defense has stepped up. I think, they averaged giving up 39 points a game last year. They're averaging right around 17 points a game this year. That can't be understated. They didn't have to be a top 10 defense for this team to be good. They just needed to be somewhere in the middle. Well, they're above the middle. And they're showing the ability to make plays. Last year, there were guys on other teams that when they caught the ball, they were literally running free. There was no one within 5 yards. They were out of position. They haven't got caught in any of those positions this year where there's a receiver just running around free with no one on them. You could tell the technique's different. The type of defense they're playing in terms of tackling is different. And when you talk to the players, more importantly, they are all in on whatever those coaches tell them to do. And that was another big difference from last year. They were not all in and on the same page, and that showed in the last 2 games of the season where they fell apart.
This is the number 1 rated offense in the ACC right now. We address the play of Marquise Williams. Elijah Hood is a back that we know about and big college football fans know about. But for the average college football fan, it's Leonard Fournette, Zeke Elliott, Derrick Henry. But this guy, now with the emergence of the team getting on the radar, maybe there'll be more attention paid to Elijah Hood and his talent.
Elijah Hood is a solid running back, to your point. If Fournette and Henry weren't having the years they were having, you'd hear his name a little more. He's not flashy. He's kind of a throwback running back. I think he mentioned a couple weeks ago, he takes it personal when he gets tackled. So he likes the physicality of the game. He runs a lot like Henry. Like, he doesn't have that blazing foot speed, but he's fast, if that makes sense. And he's physical like Henry, and he's a big guy like Henry. He's having a phenomenal year, kind of under the radar, like you said. Got another 98 yards tonight. If he didn't fumble those couple of times, it would have been over 100 because both couple of fumbles fell backwards. 20 carries again. Last week he had 21 carries, which was a career high. So they were, even with Pitt's defense cheating up the way they like to do from a pressure standpoint, still wanted to get to him, gave him 20 carries, and almost got that 100-yard mark. That was a big deal tonight for him in helping keep that passing game honest as well.
So, Jeff, the round robin continues. Duke's coming up next. And again, coming into this weekend, a 3-way tie for first place in the Coastal Division, North Carolina, Pitt, and Duke. You've got that game out of the way, and Duke coming up. So just your thoughts about what possibly could improve for this football team and what you would like to see going forward, because it's pretty much following the best script possible at this point.
Yeah, I think you have a very confident team, very excited team. I think a team, too, that if they go back and review last week's film and this week's film, they didn't play 4 quarters of really clean football, but they managed to win without much stress. And that's the sign, of a good team, I think, is when you can play. Last week, I think they would probably tell you they played okay, still won and had it control. This week, they went on the road against a ranked team. They punched them in the mouth and played really well in the first half. Kind of had their moments in the second half and then just had to keep control of the game, and they were able to do that. Next week, huge game against Duke. Duke's got a game this week against Miami. They should win, I would think, with Kaya being out, and head into Kenan Stadium next week with, basically the Coastal Division on the line. You can't ask for anything better than that. The stadium's going to be packed. You got Duke and UNC, except it's not basketball this time, it's football.
All right, North Carolina with a solid win on the road against Pitt, 26-19, move on to 7-1, their finest start since way back in 1997 under Mac Brown. We bring in Jeff Greenberg to do a tremendous job, as always, from Sports Glutton to break down the Tar Heels vying for a Coastal Division championship. It would be their first since the ACC split into two divisions. Jeff, thanks so much for the time.
You're welcome. Thank you.